I'm Joshua Littrell. I served in the United States Air Force from 1999 to 2005. Did a couple tours overseas, and I was active duty during that entire commitment. Fulfilled my 6-year commitment obligation, and then got out and went to college. But during my time in the Air Force, I was a bioenvironmental engineer. This is the Air Force's equivalent to OSHA and EPA put together. So we did occupational health and preventative medicine during peacetime. But during wartime, when I deployed for Operation Iraqi Freedom, I was deployed as an NBC technician, a nuclear biological chemical detection technician. So when we were knocking the scuds down and doing all the testing on the drums and things like that in Iraq, I was the one that was going out doing that testing and analysis on it. Really, honestly, Alex, it just came from a need, really, to start with. I grew up in Northeast Georgia, really rural community. Weed was gonna make you rape people, rob people, and kill people. But I was drinking white liquor at 12, 13 years old, and it was no big deal, you know? So I never had any experience with cannabis because it was the devil growing up. So I got out, left there and went to the military, had never used cannabis, and then I get out of the military, and the VA is just throwing meds at me, hand over fist, narcotics, you know, opiates. And this was I got injured in the desert in 2003, and then started using Percocets in the desert in 2003. So I had been using narcotics since 2003, and the VA just threw them out like candy at that point in time. My life was suffering. I didn't really know I was suffering. And I was over at a buddy's house one time, and I was, it was late in the evening. He was like, "Here, try this." And it was a bowl of cannabis. And I tried it, and I was like, "Man, I feel really good." And I kept saying that, and they didn't really understand how good I felt. In the same breath, I had a pocket full of pills in my pocket that I have to take every single day. So the following weekend, I came back over, and it was middle of the day. We were going to watch college football. I hadn't had any. I used cannabis, and I was like, "Wow, I feel really good again." And just talked about how well I felt. The pain was going away. My anxiety wasn't, out of this world. And they were all like, "Oh, you're just high." I was like, "No, guys, y'all don't understand it." And I actually reached in my pocket and pulled out my pills that I was going to take throughout the day. I was like, "This is what I got to take every day." So it was real eye-opening to me at that point in time. And this was, 06, 07. And then I get into college and start learning about the war on drugs and all this stuff. And then I started to utilize cannabis, and not necessarily recreational, even though it was recreational use. I was using it medically, but there was no medical use for it back then, right?
Right.
So I had the opportunity to take a job in Vermont in 2010. The biggest reason that I took that job, aside from the opportunity I had with mentoring in an absolute rock star in the financial services industry, the number 2 reason was that Vermont had just passed their medical cannabis program. And I decided I'm gonna go to Vermont, I'm gonna get my medical cannabis program, I'm gonna see, is this really beneficial? Will it really work? So I did that, was able to get my cultivation license while I was there because they had nice little home grows. I grew my own organic cannabis and used that, and I was able to reduce my opioid dependency by 80%.
That's amazing.
4 years I was in Vermont.
That is amazing.
Cannabis was born out of that need to make sure that every veteran has a choice to utilize cannabis, whether it's in conjunction with pharmaceuticals or completely and apart and separate than pharmaceuticals. We need choice, and VFC was born to fight for a choice for all veterans and all patients, quite frankly, to have a choice to use cannabis. Veterans aren't the only ones that suffer from post-traumatic stress, chronic pain, or anxiety, or cancer. I was like, everybody does. So everybody needs this choice. The goals of Veterans for Cannabis are really to focus on, we originally started as an advocacy group. We were gonna advocate for access to medicine. Well, out of that was born the industrial hemp. Basically it was the Farm Bill of 2014 that changed everything for us. I founded Veterans for Cannabis in 2014-15. And then we got the Farm Bill passed in late December of 2014, going into 2015. At that point in time, I decided, okay, I've got to do something for those veterans that are in states that do not have a medical cannabis program, that need access to something that works. So we actually went and started producing products. We did the CBD products, but we were doing a whole hemp, tastes like crap, but is very, very effective, full spectrum product. And in fact, our product's still the same thing. We don't put any adulterations in it, no flavoring, no nothing, no sugar. Like what you get is the crude that comes out of the extraction. That's it.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's effective, you know?
Right.
We originally started as an advocacy group and then became a product manufacturer and distributor of something that was legal in all 50 states that veterans could have access to, especially those states that didn't have a medical cannabis program. And that's really what we've done. So our goals are to utilize the product sales to generate revenue and funds to take care of veterans that need help, whether it's paying for their doctor recommendations, because we have to go outside the VA to do that. It's an outside out-of-pocket cost, right? Paying for their medicines, helping educate and generate information and change, you know, quite frankly, positive policy change at the local, state, and federal level too. That's a big part of it. So we're still advocacy, and we will still always advocate because first and foremost, we're educators.
Right.
And I believe that as we educate, we're advocating anyway, because all education is information that allows somebody to make a more informed decision and choice.
Right.
We advocate. We're really focusing on now is building out the brand and building out the distribution on the industrial hemp side. We've got a couple different farms here in Georgia that we grow hemp on, one in Wisconsin. And then our goal is to get our nonprofit up and funded. It's called Veterans for Collaboration, that focuses on the training and education behind agrotherapy. Agrotherapy is what growing plants does to a person for their psyche and to reduce anxiety and stress, and then also using that food as medicine instead of pharmaceuticals, and then teach them how to start a business. And hey, hemp just happens to be a big part of that because we can grow, process, extract, sell, all that stuff. So hemp just happens to be the first thing we're going to talk about in our agrotherapy. You know, people, the easiest way is to buy our products, whether you're buying the Veterans for Cannabis products or just trust veteran-owned cannabis. And what I mean by that is when you're supporting a veteran, and we ask people this all the time, because companies and corporations say, oh, we support veterans. And I'll ask directly, how do you support veterans? What do you guys do with that? Oh, we hire veterans. And I'm like, where do you hire them at? Oh, we'll hire them, you know, a new position outside. So that's a $10 hour job. You're hiring them as a direct hire like you would any other employee. Well, yeah, I'm like, well, you know, really when you're talking about that, you hire people that have done 15 years or 20 years in the military. They don't need a starting job. That is people that need to be in your C-level, your upper management. That's how you support veterans. You don't support veterans by hiring them in a position and paying them minimum wage. Mm-hmm. So it takes people aback a lot of times, but it also calls them on their stuff too. I'm tired of people saying we help and support veterans, because when you ask them, they don't. And putting a flag outside your house is great. I love it and I appreciate it. And I think that's patriotism. But don't say you support veterans and that's how you do it. So the big deal on how to support us is to buy our products and then really force the states to make sure that veterans and also minorities have a quality stake in the licenses that are issued out, whether it's industrial hemp or cannabis-related businesses. But the biggest part is put money behind us, put trust into us, because there's no incubators that are out there for veteran-owned cannabis industry, you know, just none. We've got ArcView Group and all that good stuff, but there are none that do only, you know, micro loans or even larger traditional loans to veteran-owned businesses in this cannabis space, and that's really frustrating that it's been stalled and stagnated because we haven't had access to capital that other industries have. We have to get the changes done so that the VA can make recommendations to patients that are veterans, right? So they can get their medical cannabis card. On top of that, where we want to go, where Veterans for Cannabis wants to go and lead that charge, is to make sure that we are the ones growing and producing medicine, just like CBD oil and stuff for the VA. And the VA has to buy it from us, a veteran-owned organization, to then dispense it to the veterans in the system. That's where we ultimately want this to go. That's the end goal. The best ways, and the way that I've seen our organization make the biggest difference, put quality product out on the market, something that's trusted, something that's verified, and something that actually works. There's nothing wrong with CBD-only products, and I think CBD has a great, place in our history here moving forward. It's going to be in everything, you know. I think it's really wonderful, but a CBD-only product stacked up against a full-spectrum product just flat does not work. And I've done tried and true tests over the last 5 years of this. I've done blind, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, non-funded except for funded out of what we do on sales that we do. But the information that we get unequivocally is that the full spectrum product works better. And that's the difference that we've made, is education and information to break down the barriers that are, they're still up, but it's the way that people think about the cannabis industry. That's what we're able to do, is change that mindset to legitimize this and bring it to the mainstream. And when we do that, it's no longer taboo. It used to be taboo, Alex, that you didn't talk about cannabis and you talk about politics, right?
Right.
You talk about cannabis, you don't talk about politics. So it's funny to see how it's changed, but that's the biggest difference we've made is the quality of the product and the education we do behind that to make the changes that we need to make. So we still got a lot to do. The laws, they still got to change, but we won't rest until every veteran has the choice to utilize cannabis through the Veterans Administration.